Hi, this is Usha. Welcome to Rathod Science classes. Today in this lecture, we are going to see current affairs of 5th July 2021. In this lecture, we are going to discuss 7 topics which are very much relevant to UPSC. So let's get started with our discussion and let us see first topic. Title says Jammu and Kashmir administration bans drones in Srinagar. So this article mainly talking about drones ban in Srinagar. So to understand this article, we need to know background. So we already have been discussing this background from last 5 days, I think so, right? So what is background? So recently 2 drones attacked Air Force base which is located in Jammu. So because of this, that led to injuries to 2 personnels. So later on, we came up with some strict guidelines regarding this drone, and we also banned drones in mainly Rajouri district. So and now here Srinagar administration took this decision to ban these drones. Okay, so this is some recent development regarding these drones. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So this topic will be important regarding GS paper 3 under security. So if you see context, it mainly says that Jammu and Kashmir administration banned the sale, use and possession of unmanned aerial vehicles in Srinagar, that is mainly drones. So drones simply are called as unmanned aerial vehicles, that is UAVs. So context mainly says that Srinagar came up with a ban of the sale, use and possession of these unmanned aerial vehicles. So if you're talking about background, so recently we saw drone attack that mainly happened on Air Force station in Jammu, and that leads to 2 persons, they were injured in this incident. And also we saw there are many drones are mainly moving here, okay, and other suspicious sightings of these unmanned aerial vehicles that are mainly seen in this area. So mainly to secure our aerial space near vital installations and in highly populated areas. So we mainly going for this decision mainly to discontinue the use of drones, okay, mainly for social gathering and as well as other cultural gatherings. And this will mainly eliminate the risk of any injury to life and as well as damage to property. So because of this, Srinagar administration took this decision of banning of these drones. So recently in Rajouri administration also imposed ban in the wake of this Jammu attack. So if you see further more details which are given in this article, it mainly says that order issued under section 144 of Criminal Procedure Code, which mainly this order mainly taken up because to access decentralized airspace, and it had to be regulated in view of recent episodes of misuse of drones in Jammu and Kashmir. So because of this, it is mainly posing a threat to security and infrastructure of our country. So because of this, district magistrate, he imposed ban on storage, sale, possession, use and transport of drones or similar kinds of unmanned aerial vehicles in the city, okay, mainly to protect, okay, security of a state and as well as mainly to protect life of people and as well as mainly to prevent damage to property. So this decision mainly taken by district magistrate. And he also said that whoever are possessing drones or cameras or other similar kinds of unmanned aerial vehicles, they need to deposit them at local police stations. If there is any violation, they will attract punitive actions. So this is gist of this topic. And this article also said some exceptions or exemptions given. So exemptions include government departments which are using drones mainly for mapping purpose or surveying purpose, or we can say disaster management level, and as well as drones also used for surveillance in agriculture and as well as environment conservations. So these drones are mainly accepted, okay, exempted. So now let us move on to next topic. Title says Taliban captured several districts in Afghanistan. So here we are going to see some interesting regarding who are these Taliban in this lecture, because if you are a beginner or if you are already UPSC aspirants from last 1 or 2 years, you are started preparation. So you might have confused between what is this Taliban, actually who are this Taliban and how they evolved. So in this lecture, we are going to see some basic facts regarding who are this Taliban and how they raised. Okay, and we are going to see what is written in this article. So this article mainly says that Taliban captured several districts in Afghanistan. So to understand this, what happened? So you need to go for background. So recently, Taliban peace deal signed, that is between America, that is USA, and as well as Taliban, right? And in this agreement, USA said that they are going to withdraw their troops in Afghanistan. So in return, here we are saying that Taliban accepted that they need to release their prisoners, war prisoners, and also here Taliban demanded that they want to be part of government and they want to come up with some constitutional changes. Okay, so what happened here? According to that agreement, here USA is going to leave Afghanistan completely by September 11, 2021. Okay, so what happened now? So most of these USA troops are withdrawing from Afghanistan. So because of this, it is leaving space for this Taliban to increase its expansion. So because of this, now Taliban, which is mainly capturing several districts in Afghanistan. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So this article will be important regarding GS paper 2 under international relations. And this topic will be important from mains point of view especially. So now let us see first context. So if you see context, it mainly says that Taliban's march through northern Afghanistan and they gain momentum overnight with capture of several districts, mainly in Badakhshan province, and there are several hundreds of people they escaped across the border into Tajikistan. So what happened here? Here because of USA troops are leaving or withdrawing from this Afghanistan, now Taliban want to expand, right? So here Taliban, they are marching through northern Afghanistan area, and now this Taliban, they gain momentum overnight with capture of several districts, and because of this several hundreds of people they escaped across border into Tajikistan. So if you see some more details, it mainly says that insurgent also captured a key district, so which is a former bastion of Kandahar after fierce fighting. So after fierce fighting here, Taliban occupied or Taliban mainly captured here former bastion of Kandahar and as well as fall of Pinjwai district of southern province of Kandahar. So it is a birthplace of Taliban. So they mainly captured some important areas of Afghanistan. And next one is just 2 days after US and NATO forces, they vacated their troops mainly from this Bagram air base near Kabul and they started expansion or capturing of other areas in Afghanistan. So as of now, Taliban now controlling roughly about third of all 421 districts and district centers in Afghanistan. So 1/3 area of this Afghanistan now it is in control of Taliban. So these are some important details which are given in this article. So now let us try to see some facts and let us try to understand about who are these Talibans. So these Talibans are mainly Sunni fundamentalist organizations. So if you are talking about Muslim community, we can see mainly two groups. First one is Shias, second one is Sunnis. Okay. So if you are talking about these Talibans especially, they are Sunni fundamentalist organization. So they involved in Afghan's politics. And they are also one of military groups involved in an insurgency against current elected government in Afghanistan. So these Taliban are mainly Sunni group and they also involved in Afghanistan policies and they are military group and they mainly involved in insurgency action against current government of Afghanistan. And if you are talking about founder, he was Mullah Omar and he died in year 2013. So if you are talking about Taliban, so what is the meaning of this word Taliban? Taliban means students according to Pashto. And next one is if you are talking about this Taliban, they controlled almost 3/4 of country between 1996 to 2001. So between 1996 to 2001, we saw there is expansion of this Taliban, and this Taliban controlled almost 3/4 of this country, and they are very much notorious for strict implementation of Sharia or Islamic law. So these are some basic facts regarding this Taliban. So now let us try to talk about origin. So to start to know about this origin of this Taliban, we need to go back to 1978. So in 1978, Afghanistan experienced Saur revolution. So because of this Saur revolution, that led to installation of Communist Party in power in Afghanistan. So after government come into power, it introduced many reforms for modernization of Afghanistan. But in rural areas and as well as in some traditional power structures, they become very much unhappy with these new schemes and new rules which are come up by this government here. So because of this, that led to anti-government protests in many places. Finally, USSR intervened in Afghanistan, and USSR mainly want to place communist ally in government of Afghanistan. So later on in December 1979, Soviet army mainly deployed in Kabul and it conducted coup. So in this coup, it led to killing of a ruling president of Afghanistan. So later on, Soviet installed their ally, that is Babrak Karmal, as president in Afghanistan. So because of this, what happened, other important countries like USA and other Western countries, they saw this as Soviet invasion in Afghanistan. So later on, there is a bitter war that fought between Soviet troops and as well as insurgent groups. So these insurgent groups are called or led by Mujahideen. Okay. So if you're talking about Afghanistan, we are having cities and towns and we are having rural areas. So in cities and towns, they are mainly under control of Soviet, but here rural areas are under control of this Mujahideen. So this Mujahideen mainly leading some insurgents activities in Afghanistan. So if you're talking about this Mujahideen, he was persistent in their fight against this USSR, that is Soviet. And here this Mujahideen also supported by other countries like China, USA, Iran, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia and Egypt. And they provided training and also weapons to this Mujahideen. And later on in 1989, Soviet withdrew their troops after a year-long war. And now government of Afghanistan had to fight against this Mujahideen alone. So because of this Mujahideen, he already doing some insurgent activities here. So insurgents, they took control of Kabul in 1992. And later in 1994, a group of students seized the control of city of Kandahar and they started a battle of power of control of entire country. So this student group is called as Taliban. Okay. So this is gist of this topic, and this is some interesting thing you might not know about this Taliban. So now let us move on to next topic. Title says second wave hit young people significantly, say study. So this article mainly talking about second wave and data regarding this National Clinical Registry. So here this National Clinical Registry, which mainly came up with one key report regarding this second wave of this coronavirus. So this article is very important regarding how this second wave impacted which section of people actually. So this article will be important regarding GS paper 2 under health. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So if you see context, it mainly says that National Clinical Registry of COVID-19 which collected data. So in this collected, they mainly focusing on high portion of hospitalizations and are not related to comorbidities. So this report of this National Clinical Registry COVID-19 mainly says that higher portion of hospitalizations of this COVID-19 cases, they are not related to this comorbidities in this second wave of this coronavirus. So if you see some more details, it mainly says that ongoing second wave of this coronavirus. So in this we can see lower mean age of patients and higher percentage of hospitalizations despite fewer comorbidities and patients with breathlessness in greater frequency. So we can see higher percentage of hospitalization, but in this hospitalization cases we can see there is less comorbidities, and also mainly some important symptoms are mainly shown in patients like fever, breathlessness. They are of great frequency now. So recently study published by in Indian Journal of Medical Research, and this study mainly conducted by ICMR, AIMS, NCDC and as well as NCRC. So it mainly provides some key highlights of this study. So if you see key highlights, first one is it mainly says that greater percentage of younger patients are more affected in this COVID-19 wave, second wave, okay, and impact mainly seen on younger patients but not on older patients in this second wave. And next one is mortality increased for all age groups except in under 20 age groups, and here in the second wave mortality also increased for all age groups. And next one is mortality among hospitalized patients that increased by 3.1 percentage, and high proportion of patients they complained like shortness of breath and developed some acute respiratory disease syndrome, and they require oxygen support and as well as ventilators. So this is some important thing. And if you're talking about data here, it mainly says that a share of the hospitalized patients they mainly belong to 20 to 39 age group, and that increased from 23.7 percentage in first wave to 26.5 percentage in second wave. Okay, so it is the first one. The share of the hospitalized person mainly increased between age group of 20 to 39 age from 23 percentage to 26.5 percentage. And next one is share of hospitalized patients of age group 40 to 60 years, that increased from 40 to 41.3 percentage. And next one is fewer patients over 60 years old, they were hospitalized in second wave, okay, that increased from 27.8 percentage to 32.5 percentage. And next one is there is less proportion of hospitalized patients across all age groups had comorbidities in this second wave, okay, but we are comparing to with the first wave, it is 21.1 percentage, okay. So here this article mainly says that, so overall I want to give you 3-4 points that you need to remember. So younger population are affecting most, okay, than compared to older population, and comorbidity is also very much less in this second wave than compared to the first wave. That's it. And now let us move on to next topic. Title says India-US partnership has a truly global significance. So this article mainly talking about India-US partnership. So here you need to remember why it is in news, because so yesterday, that is July 4th, it is 245th Independence Day of USA. So because of this is in news. So here what is our duty? Our duty it is to see why it is in news, and we need to go back to our basics under world history, okay. So in world history we are having one topic called as American Revolution. So you need to read that topic which is very much connected to this article. So here you need to know about what are the important causes for this American Revolution. So we are going to discuss that topic here. So in causes, we are mainly dividing these causes into 3 types. First one is political causes, second one is economic, and third one is ideological. Okay, so overall this article will be important regarding world history, which mainly comes under GS paper 1, and this will be important from mains point of view. So if you see context, it mainly says that India's strategic partnership with the US has a truly global significance. So this is a statement which is given by our Prime Minister on occasion of 245th Independence Day of US. So on this occasion of this 245th Independence Day of US, our Prime Minister said that India's strategic plan with US, it is one of truly global significance. So now let us try to see what is American Revolution. So if you are moving to background here, so British Crown had different colonies all over world. For example, in Asia, Africa, and as well as America. So America was a colony of Britishers earlier. And by AD, that is Anno 1770s, so there were 13 colonies of Great Britain in North America. And colonial government was represented by British Crown. So at that time British crown was King George III. So what happened later on, tensions mainly grew over time between residents of Great Britain's 13 American colonies and colonial government. So because of this, that led to full-fledged war by 1775, and American residents, they fought against British by making an alliance with France. And finally Americans, they defeated British in American Revolutionary War, and finally that led to evolution of this United States of America. So this is some background. And now let us try to see some causes. So these causes are divided into three types. First one is political, second one is economical, and third one is ideological. So if you are talking about political causes, no representatives of colonies in the British Parliament. So first one here is, if you see in British Parliament, already we know that this America, which is a colony of Britishers, but in British Parliament there is no representation for peoples from these colonies in British Parliament. So this is one important reason. And next one is, there is resource draining of colonies that is seen. So because of 7 years war, that is between 1756 to 1763, which mainly ended with British victory, and that drained resources of America. And next one is taxation without representation. So as you all know that here Americans, they do not have a representation in British Parliament. So in this context, many people raised concern like British government had no rights to tax the colonies because taxation without representation, which is mainly slogan raised by people. And fourth and important one here is protest, like Boston Tea Party in 1773. So in this Boston Tea Party, tea cartons which are mainly carried by British ship, they were thrown into sea. And later on, Britishers or Britain's right to levy taxes was eroded over time. So in this way, power assumed by respective local governments. So these are some political reasons. And now let us talk about economic reasons. So England policies prevent economic development of colonies, and also Britain came up with export limitation on products like tobacco, sugar and cotton. And there is also restriction on industrialization, for example iron and steel industries, and as well as textile industries, so and so. And next one is laws enacted which are mandated to use only British ships for international trade. They cannot use other ships. And next one is, there is also high import duties for products which are coming from other colonies which are outside this Britain. Okay. And next one is Britain also came up with imposition of stamp duty in 1765. So in this stamp duty, it is mainly made mandatory to affix stamps of every stamps which should be attached on every legal document. That led to widespread of protest in America. And if you are talking about these ideological causes, so first one is, there were many Enlightenment philosophers like Locke, Harrington, Mitton, etc. So they got popular imagination, like they believed that all people, they had inalienable rights. So those rights should not be infringed by any government. And next one is, so these philosophers, they also showed about inequality of British society. Okay, despite of many philosophers, for example, despised by many philosophers, for example Thomas Rhyme and as well as Thomas Jefferson. So if you see here Locke, you will come across this person in your ethics. Okay, so if you are talking about ideological causes, there are many Enlightenment philosophers, they said that there are some rights they need to be given for people, and no government has right or authority to infringe those rights. And next one is, they also focused on inequalities of British society. Okay, so these are some important causes that led to this American Revolution. And finally, US was founded as an ideal of democracy on 4th July 1976 by adopting Declaration of Independence from 13 countries. So this is gist of this topic. And now let us move on to next topic. Title says Chinese astronauts completes first spacewalk at new station. So this article mainly talking about Tingyong space station of China. So as you know, in space we are having this International Space Station. So in this International Space Station, which mainly excluded China, right? So what happened? So if you're talking about this International Space Station, which is mainly going to expire by 2024. So because of this, many countries, they are coming up with their own space stations, even India also, right? So if you're talking about this article, which mainly focuses on Chinese astronauts, they complete first spacewalk at new station. So recently one important module of this Chinese space station mainly launched here. So it is called as Tianhe. Okay. So in this Tianhe, recently 3 astronauts, they blasted off last month, mainly to go for some research and some trails regarding this International Space Station. So in that part here, so 2 astronauts, they left this space station and they mainly went for spacewalk, and finally they reached safely to this Tianhe module. So because of this, it is one of key success of China. So this article will be important regarding GS paper 3 under Science and Technology. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So here this article mainly talking about Tiangong station. So if you see context, it mainly says that Chinese astronauts, they successfully performed the country's first spacewalk. So here Chinese came up with this first spacewalk, and they are mainly working for 7 hours outside this new Tiangong station orbit around the Earth. And if you are talking about some details, it mainly says that Tiangong's construction, it is one of important major step in Chinese ambitious space program. And next one is 2 of astronauts, they exited the station for around 7 hours to work in first spacewalk at this Tiangong, and finally they safely returned to this Tianhe core module, okay, which mainly marks complete success of this first spacewalks. And now let us try to talk about some facts regarding this Chinese space station. So here you need to understand what is meaning of this space station, right? So this space station, it is simply a spacecraft which mainly capable of supporting crew members, and it mainly designed to remain in space for extended period of time for other spacecrafts to dock also. Okay, so here astronauts, they can go, and as well as we can dock spacecrafts. And if you're talking about some key facts regarding this Chinese space station, so first one it is about 66-ton multi-module Tiangong station, which mainly set to operation for at least 10 years. And in this Chinese space station, there are 3 important modules. So first one is Tianhe. Tianhe, it is one of 3 main components, and it mainly forms the main living quarters for these astronauts. And if you're talking about significance, so first one is we are mainly going for ramping up a space program. Okay, space program of China. China mainly aims to become major space power by 2030, and also China mainly ramped up some space programs with visit to moon and as well as even Mars, that is Chang, and as well as some program regarding this Mars. And next one is here this ISS, International Space Station, is about to expire by 2024. Okay, so now let us see next topic. Title says crocos relocated from Gujarat Lake. So this article mainly talking about Panchimuli Lake. So if you see here, we have the Sardar Sarovar Dam in this map. So here we have this Statue of Unity, and here we have this dam. Okay, sorry, here we have this lake. So here we have Sardar Sarovar Dam, here we have Statue of Unity, and here we have this lake. So what is the context here? Context mainly says that as many as 194 crocodiles, they have been relocated from lake near the Statue of Unity in Narmada district, Gujarat in last 2 years. So mainly they want to ensure safety and efficiency of tourists who come to enjoy boat rides in these areas. So if you're talking about details, it mainly says that this Panchimuli Lake, which is very much near to this 182 meters tall statue of this Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel in Kevadia. Okay, so this lake mainly contains large number of crocodiles that mainly pose threat to visitors. So this is just, and now it is your homework to refer some facts regarding the Statue of Unity. Okay, so this is just of this topic. Now let us see next topic. So before saying next topic, I want to make a small announcement on this platform. If you want to clear UPSC 2022, we came up with one excellent, highly beneficial and as well as highly economical course, that is Current Affairs package along with the mains answer writing practice. So how this course will be useful to clear this UPSC 2022? So one thing you need to remember here is, before entering into your examination hall, you need to know at least 1.5 year current affairs for sure. And this is right time to join this course to cover this 1.5 years current affairs in a comprehensive manner. So why you need to focus on this current affairs? Because in prelims, in mains, and even in your interview, questions will be based on this current affairs. So mastering of current affairs is very important to clear this UPSC. And next important thing here is mains answer writing practice. So many students who are especially freshers or beginners, they ignore this mains answer writing practice. So because of this, even though if you cleared UPSC prelims, you cannot clear mains without answer writing skills. So in this course, we are mainly focusing on how to improve your answer writing skills. And next one is, if you join this course, we also conduct prelims test on every Sunday, and we also provide you video explanation part. So in this way, this course which is designed as per demand of UPSC. So finally, I want to say one thing, please don't take this course as a choice. Try to join this course as soon as possible and achieve your dream of clearing UPSC. And apart from this, we also launched Indian Geography course. You can also join that. So details of this course will be given in description box. So please see that once. And if you want to talk to me directly regarding this course, you can call to this number 8074765513. Okay. And now let's come back and let us see next topic. Title says the heavy footprint of a light rail. So this article mainly talking about one infrastructure project, that is light rail. So because of this, what happened? So whenever we are going for any infrastructure project or any development project, so we need to go for acquisition of land. So whenever we are going for acquisition of land, so in this type of Western Ghats area or any ecologically important area, that will lead to some environment concerns. So central theme mainly says that a part of the land that has been earmarked for acquisition of light rail in Kerala, they are wetlands. So here cause of concern here is, whenever we are going for acquisition of land for this development projects, especially to this light rail, so these lands are mainly wetlands. So these wetlands are very important for our paddy and as well as to ensure food security. So this is one cause of concern here. So now let us try to see what is this project and what are the environment concerns which are raised by environmental activists and what can be done, what are alternatives. So this topic will be important regarding GS paper 3 under environment and ecology. So if you see this light rail, it is a symbol of modernity. So if you see context, it mainly says that capital city of Thiruvananthapuram in south and town of Kasaragod in its north, it will be connected through this light rail. So because of this, what happened, environmentalist groups, they are raising some environment concerns. So if you are talking about topography of Kerala, so it is having often rocky surface. So because of this, it is highly prone to crumbling with dislodged. And next one is, recently we saw devastating landslides that are seen because of extensive mining activities and as well as extensive construction or developmental activities in this ecologically sensitive area. And next one is because of excessive quarrying and as well as excessive mining and as well as construction, they have already left this traditional area with vulnerable mainly to torrential rains. So these are some important side effects or environmental impacts that we are seeing in this Kerala. So one more cause of concern here is in this land acquisition, which mainly includes wetlands, that includes mainly paddy fields. So if you're talking about this paddy, it is a staple crop of Malayalis, and recently we also saw production of this paddy which mainly declined over half a century because of lack of mainly water supply and as well as shrinking of water bodies, that led to decrease in production of this paddy in this Kerala. So it mainly threatens food security, and 2 years ago protests are mainly done by many people saying that whenever we are coming with this type of project, that will mainly affect their paddy fields. So now let us try to see alternatives. So here if you are talking about Kerala, it is a well developed state, right? And we are having good connectivity by rail and as well as international airport is present. and also we are having well connected roads. In fact, Kerala having higher densities of roads than compared to other states. So alternatives which are mainly given in this article includes, we can go for development of inland waterways. We can go for development of sea-borne ferry services that connects this Thiruvananthapuram with this Kasaragod. And whatever the ports which are present in between, they should be interconnected. So that will leave land untouched here, such that we can also ensure food security, and as well as we can protect this ecologically sensitive areas. So this is gist of this topic. I hope it is clear. So by this we are concluding today. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to like, share and comment my videos. And don't forget to enroll to this current affairs package and Indian geography. Thank you so much.